Hello, folks, and welcome to Got Your Back, NHL edition, LeBrun and Rashog. Bit of an abbreviated episode as we are going to get to our interview with Winnipeg Jets newly signed forward Mark Scheifele in just a couple of moments. Scheifele, kind enough to have a chat with us on the heels of signing that brand new contract that should keep him a member of the Winnipeg Jets for the rest of his NHL career. Reminder, the Got Your Back NHL edition brought to you by our great friends at Kuma Outdoor Gear, where they've got a wide range of gear to fit all your outdoor needs, from tents and sleeping bags, travel games, pet products, and drinkware. And boy, do they ever love their new Switchback heated chair as well. World's first heated chair powered by Bluetooth technology. Yes, you can preheat your chair before you go outside. I have 3 of them. I know, it's gluttonous, but we love them. Kuma Gear, available across North America. Go to kumaoutdoorgear.com to find a retailer near you and check out all they have to offer. Kuma Outdoor Gear, experience luxury outdoors. As mentioned, Mark Scheifele set to join us here on the podcast shortly, but Pierre thought we would go around the National Hockey League real quick with some news and notes and some bits and some bites. How you doing, my man? How's your NFL team looking?
Well, we're taping this on Monday afternoon, and they play on Monday Night Football,
Yes.
Ryan. Most people would know that, but I know that you're not a football guy. So
I'm busy, man. It's not in my wheelhouse. It's funny, we do the local podcast with Jason Strudwick, and the Giants are his team. He claims he's been a fan for 23 years, but he didn't watch the game yesterday. He's like, no, I'm not watching. There's no point. They're out of it. There's no point in watching it. So we were questioning what a fan he actually is.
And they nearly pulled off the upset on the day of upsets in the NFL. Yeah.
Okay, Pierre, let's take a couple of minutes quick here before we get to Mark Scheifele. We're 5-6 days into the NHL regular season here. Maybe we'll just start in Montreal, where news breaking here midday that Kirby Dach is going to be missing a significant amount of time with a lower body injury. And we'll learn more about this, I'm sure, in the next couple of days. But man, talk about a halt in progress, a stall in mojo, whatever you want to call it. Tough loss for a team that was, really wanting to get off on the right foot and create some good energy this year.
Yeah, really brutal memory. He was hurt last year as well, and I was there opening night last week in Toronto. He might have been Montreal's best player on the ice, centering that line was Lafkowski and Newhook, and what you thought the Canadians could see in that this year, if Dach could be that kind of player behind the Suzuki line, maybe the Canadians are more than just a basement team this year. Maybe that helps them make a bigger step in their development in the rebuild. But that's really brutal news for him, especially because he wants to be healthy and he wants to be that guy for the Montreal Canadiens, but that's a pretty big setback.
Meanwhile, in Toronto, Austin Matthews is off to some kind of offensive start. I mean, just shot out of a cannon from a goal-scoring standpoint. Healthy, right? Hitting the ground running this year. We know he was dealing with some stuff early last year and really leaving nothing to chance on the goal-scoring front. 6 goals in his 2 games. First time ever that a Leaf starts a season with back-to-back Hatties. Pretty impressive, man. What have you seen?
Yeah, and it's interesting. Remember last year, he spent a significant amount of the season, or at least, half of it with William Nylander, the other half, of course, with his regular line mate, Mitch Marner. And, I was chatting about this with Mark Masters last week, but, is there something to Matthews where maybe he scores more goals when he's playing with Marner as opposed to Nylander, except that Nylander scored a ton of goals playing with Matthews, if that makes any sense. In other words, there's only one puck, and I'm wondering if he's more of a shoot-first guy when he plays with Marner. He could care less. If Austin Matthews was on with us right now, he would say that it doesn't matter which guy he's with as long as they're scoring and as long as they're winning. But that is one thing that I wonder about, if those two are better off separated so that both those top 2 lines are scoring goals.
Leafs off to a 2-0 start. 13 goals they've scored already. They've given up 9, though. They've given up 9 already.
So I was going to say they're sort of outscoring their other problems, which is they've not been tight defensively at all so far. It's only a couple of games, but that is every contender has an area where you can chew on and say, I don't know. And for the Leafs, it's going to be their blue line slightly attached to the goaltending. I mean, Samsonov was terrific last year. They need that version of him. But TJ Brody, blowing a wheel on opening night on this first shift, I think was like, whoa, this is not what the Leafs need on their blue line. So yeah, they need to get a little tighter there for sure.
Meanwhile, in Chicago, Connor Bedard, all eyes on him as he gets his NHL career underway. We'll read his stats line here, Pierre. 3 games played, goal, 2 assists, 3 points, point a game pace. Pretty darn good. He's -1. He's playing 22 minutes and 5 seconds on average per night. I mean, that is some significant ice time for a guy just getting his feet wet, but he's in the deep end of the pool because I assume they thoroughly believe he can handle it. So far, so good.
Yeah, and again, not that they would come out and say this, but the wins and the losses don't matter either. So he can sink or swim, and they're going to be fine with that. The big thing is to make sure that his confidence doesn't erode during the leaner times offensively. He's taken a ton of shots and shot attempts. I don't have them in front of me, but he's shooting the puck like crazy, like he always has in junior. The difference, of course, is that some of those wrist shots from the perimeter would go in the dub. And now you've got NHL goaltending and NHL defenders in front of you. So I wonder what that kind of the learning curve, what's that's like for him saying, wait a minute, sometimes I score on those and they're not going in right now. So he'll find his way. There's no question about that.
One of the ways that you know you're going to be humbled as a youngster in the National Hockey League, though, especially as a center, is the face-off circle. Did you see the clip where he said to the ref, I haven't won one yet? He was talking to the linesman, or it might have been there. I can't remember if it was the ref or the linesman. He said, I haven't won one yet. And then the guy's like, yeah, especially against Sid, eh? So we saw him get his clock cleaned pretty good, but he's at 26.5%. I think it's the great equalizer. All these good young players come into the league, all this hype and number one, and you're great, you're great, you're great. And then fist punch in the nose in the face-off circle. Just a brutal stat sitting there for everyone to stare at, but to be expected.
But I tell you, and he'll have to work at that, just like remember Crosby did after his rookie year. But I tell you what, the respect from opposing defensemen for Connor Bedard right out of the gates is unreal. Do you see how he backs up a blue line? I mean, it is something else to be that age, a young 18, as they say, and when he has the puck with momentum through the neutral zone, you're seeing defense back way up for fear of being embarrassed by this young man. It's something else.
Just seeing if I can grab that stat really quick. Individual Corsi 4 looks like 30. So if I'm looking at that properly, that's 30 shot attempts, I think. But again, I just tried to grab that real quick. But bottom line, he's trying to shoot everything. Young mistake, though. We saw a young mistake. I'm not sure if you caught it on a power play. They were down in a game, worked his way up ice, blitzed a shot wide. What's that?
Short-handed goal by Sean Monahan,
Yeah. So he blitzed a shot wide, rims it around the boards, and then I didn't think he got on his horse to get back the way he needed to get on his horse to get back. Young look, and these sorts of things are going to happen, but those little learning moments along the way, hit the net, and definitely start back-checking if you miss it.
Yeah. On the same night, I saw the Edmonton Oilers do a bit of that, and they're not young. So,
yes, it was very strong. How about that 2-on-0? Did you see the 2-on-0? Darnell Nurse jumped in, 5 guys basically below the, at the top of the circles, and a 2-on-0 back the other way. Yeah, well, we can shift. That was going to be the next topic. So listen, I live here. I cover this team. I covered this team for years. It's not an ideal start for a Stanley Cup contender to come out of the gate this way. What's the view from outside the province?
Well, I stayed up to watch that Saturday night. I felt a lot better about the performance Saturday than I did opening night. Like, I mean, come on, they tilted the ice on Van, but they got out-goalered, which is a hockey thing. But that's not insignificant either, because that's a big part of the story, right? Right now in Edmonton is the kind of net minding or lack thereof that they've had. But come on, I mean, on Saturday, they had so much time in the Canuck zone and scoring chances and shots and everything that you want to see. It's just a couple of breakdowns cost them. I am not concerned. And the one thing that I thought about today, knowing we talk about the Oilers, and you can put in a few other contenders, the Lightning have lost 2 straight after winning opening night, and the Hurricanes have lost 2 straight, and wild offensive games that are not Carolina-like. These are teams people are picking, right? And one of the things I often think about this time of year when a really elite team like Edmonton or Carolina isn't coming out of the gates the way they want is that there's a psychological part to it. I often wonder about teams that have been knocking at the door that psychologically want to get right back to May.
Mm-hmm.
And the Oilers want to play another game against Vegas right now, and Carolina wants to get right back in the Eastern Conference Final. It doesn't work that way. You have to get all the work in first. And I know it sounds silly saying this out loud, but I'm telling you, I think there's a psychological part to it where everyone's picking you to go to the final, whether you're Carolina or Edmonton, everyone's saying you're great. And as a player, subconsciously, it's like, let's drop the puck in April. Can't do that. Got to get there. The process matters. That's why you often hear coaches talk about, resetting your identity. People roll their eyes, coach talk. It's really true. Like you have to start again with the habits and the rhythm and what works and all the things that make you a contender. You don't just flip the switch on. You actually have to build that up. And honestly, the Oilers and the Hurricanes in particular look like contenders that, tried to flip the switch. Doesn't work that way.
Well, and a couple of months of talking about, like, from day one of the captain skates where they did some availabilities right up to the regular season, about an increased attention to detail defensively and understanding that we know we're going to be able to score is what they've been saying, but it's about defending. And they open up and give up 12 goals in 2 games. So that's like, just completely the opposite of what their intention was. I was at practice today. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl on a line together as they head to Nashville. Evander Kane will be on the wing. So Jay Woodcroft, it's kind of supposed to be that break glass in case of emergency situation.
Security blanket.
Well, he's broken it in all 3 games. He put them together late in the first game. He put them together late in the second game, and now it looks like he's going to start with them together against the Nashville Predators. So it's the nuclear option, and he's just decided to, why waste time, throw them together, and let them dig their way out. They got 1 goal again, or 1 goal for at even strength so far this season, the entire team.
Yeah, no, they just look completely off. But again, 40 shots on Saturday? I'm not very concerned, Ryan. I don't know how your market is reacting right now, but I would tell everyone to take a deep breath.
What do you mean?
It's going to come around.
Everybody's hair's on fire. That's how the market's reacting. It's
and
they live and die with it, right?
And the juxtaposition of it is that the Canucks are the team that win those 2 games against a team everyone's picking to win the Cup, which is great entertainment in terms of what the expectations were for Vancouver, which I think is they hope to be a playoff team. They'll be right on that bubble, right? But it's a market that also has ebbs and flows in pretty extreme ways, fan-wise, in that Vancouver market, right? When things are good, they jump on the wagon. When things are bad, they hammer their team maybe harder than any other Canadian market. And to start out 2-0, even though it's a really smart fan base that can look at the numbers and say, yeah, but Saturday was kind of tilted. But I think it's great entertainment to see the Canucks start 2-0 and what they make with that.
All right, great stuff, Pierre. That'll wrap up our look around the National Hockey League. Time to get to our big interview of the day, courtesy our friends over at Kuma Outdoor Gear. Fresh off signing what some thought was a surprising deal. 7 years in length, $59.5 million with a cap hit of $8.5 million a season. Yeah, he and Connor Hellebuck doing the matching deals, I think caught some people off guard. Jets forward Mark Scheifele in conversation here on Got Your Back. So after a grand total of 20 penalty minutes last season, Mark, you have rolled into the National Hockey League with 7 in your first couple of games here. You got a scrap under your belt as well. I know you're getting feisty in preseason a little bit too. Is this you don't want to be anywhere near the Lady Bing conversation anymore, or what's happening here?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been in the Lady Bing conversation. I am definitely not I pride myself on not a lot of penalties, but once in a while I get a 10-minute or not many fights, but kind of just the way it goes sometimes. You just gotta be ready for anything when the league. In the NHL, you just got to be ready for anything, and that's the fun part about it.
I notice a theme, though, is, as a skilled guy, you got to create a little bit of space for yourself out there. So if somebody does something that you don't love, I know you didn't love the hit in the corner there from Tkachuk, but you've done that before where it's like you got to pick your spots. But if somebody does something you don't like as a skilled guy, you got to create a bit of space for yourself, hey?
Yeah, I think so. I think, actually Dale Howardchuk, it was my 17-year-old year in the O, and I was starting to get a little bit of a beating once in a while. And he told me, he's like, hey, you might have to be prepared to fight. Like, it might back some guys off you. You might create a little more space for yourself and know that you're not scared to drop them. And it happened in Ottawa. I got hit in the corner, and it's kind of a bit of an interference, and I dropped the gloves, and it wasn't a pretty fight, but all the boys were excited way back in the day for that one. So it's just the way it is. It's a physical game. It's an intense game and an emotional game, and I think that's what I love most about it.
Mark, I'm wondering what the vibe's like right now, a couple of games into the season around your team with you and Connor Hellebuck both signing extensions. My experience is that when these things happen, it sort of impacts the whole dressing room. Everyone gets pretty excited by that. And there's been a lot said around the Jets and their future the last couple of years, Mark. So that would have been, I would think, a real positive impact in that room.
Yeah, I think honestly that was probably what made the whole situation. I think the reaction from the guys in the room when me and Helly told the entire team before our team meeting, seeing the reactions on their faces and seeing their enthusiasm and their excitement. I think that's what made. That's what made it. That's what made our day. That's specifically me. I know. I was pumped when I saw the guys' faces and I saw their reactions when we told them. It picked me up a lot. You always have a ton of thoughts that go through your brain through all of that, and then you see their reaction, and that's what makes it so valuable and so exciting for me is all your best friends that you spend every single day with be that excited for you, and the things said even after the fact were very, very encouraging, very happy, and I hold that very, very near and dear to my heart.
I often wonder, Mark, how much players in and around the room are aware of what might be going on as far as contract talks. And I'm sure you talk to guys that are closer to you or whatever, but it felt to me like the hockey world went, whoa, when both those deals got done right at the same time. Was it the same reaction from your teammates that they went, whoa, that both of these happen at the same time and are announced together? Or was there a bit of a sense in the room that it might have been coming?
I think with even just me and Connor, we're both pretty private people. We respect the process a lot. We just respect the confidentiality between us and Chevy, and obviously few guys know few guys knew just because a guy like Josh Morris, he's a guy that I talk to literally about everything in my life, and a guy that I respect his opinion, I respect his thoughts, and I think obviously there are certain guys that you'll talk to and bounce ideas off, just because that's what you do, in these situations is you talk to your best friends. So obviously there's a few guys that knew, but a lot of guys that obviously didn't, and I think that's just the kind of the way that me and Helly like it is we like it just kind of do our own thing and do the things but behind closed doors and keep it very close to our chest. And I think that made it even more exciting when when the news actually broke and people were pretty shocked.
Such synergy between these two deals in so many ways. Mark, how much conversation happened behind the scenes between the two of you? And there was all sorts of, rumors and suggestions and speculations. You guys know what was real about your intention to stay, whether you wanted to or not, what other options that you had. How in line were you with your conversations, kind of being honest with each other about what your intentions were, and how much did one of you staying end up impacting both of you staying?
Yeah, I think I think a lot of the conversations that were had between me and Helly were more about hockey, not as much about our actual situation in terms of negotiations and that stuff, but was about hockey. We're both competitive guys. We're both guys that love the game and want to win and are uber competitive. And obviously, a guy like for me, when a guy like Connor Hellebuck is your mainstay as a goalie. That changes things. When you have him in the net, you have a chance of winning every single night. And for me, that was huge. And also, I spend a good amount of time in Michigan in the summer, so I got to get to skate with them, get to shoot on them, and try to light them up at these skates just north of Detroit. And I think one thing for me that I respect so much about Helly is how hard he works, how dialed in he is, how badly he wants to be the best goalie in the league, and how badly he wants to win. And I think having a guy like that, that I get to sign on the same day and the exact same deal with is very, very important to me and makes me feel very special. And, I'm lucky that I got to go through it with him and have a lot of good conversations about hockey and excited to spend the next 8 years with him.
The other part that was interesting to me, Mark, was hearing Kevin Shoveldayoff speak after the signings, and also the comments that you and Connor had about the meetings that you had face to face with Shoveldayoff, where it looks like this was a bit unique in terms of, I think, Shoveldayoff was really detailing his vision for the next few years here for this team. And I know from talking to Mark Chipman at the Board of Governors meeting a couple of weeks ago, he made it clear this team's window is still open here. There's no such thing as a retool here for the Jets. The Jets want to still be all in. How important was that to hear it from the horse's mouth, if you will, when you're making this kind of career decision?
I think it meant everything to me. I think, those face-to-face conversations, obviously the details I'm going to keep to ourselves, just because, I respect Chevy too much to talk about that, with you guys, but they went amazing. It's great to have face-to-face conversations and get him to pick my brain, me to pick his brain, see, understand where he's coming from, what he sees, for him to ask me what I see. I think, it shows a lot of respect to me, as a player, as a guy that loves the game as much as I do. I love to talk the game. I love to talk about the ins and outs and how they value me, how I value the organization. All that stuff I think is so crucial, and I think a big reason why this all got done was because of that respect factor. And I think my conversations with them just went so well, and it just made me feel very valued and very, very happy and excited. And I think that goes a long way. And I think those conversations, I don't know what happens on other teams. I've only ever been in Winnipeg, but it was very, very constructive and went very well. And I think, I couldn't be more honored to be a Winnipeg Jet and for the next 8 years of my life. And, those conversations with Chevy, I'll remember, for the rest of my life.
There's a lot that's been said about the Jets over the last couple of seasons. And I wonder if there's a misconception out there, maybe about that locker room, or about playing in that city, or about, I live and work here in Edmonton, where we've taken our beatings in this town over the years too, a little bit, in terms of it being a destination. But, is there a misconception out there about Winnipeg? I mean, you've just committed to being there for a long time. And I think that really says something when guys like you and Connor Hellebuck do that. But from what you've heard it said about it, and about maybe the team and the bond and all those things, what would you say to people about that?
That's the thing. I don't really understand how all that stuff starts in the first place. Yeah, we haven't won a Stanley Cup. So, when you don't win a Stanley Cup, the year's a failure for 31 teams in the league. So, there's things that need to be fixed. There's things that need to be worked on. And yeah, obviously it's cold here, but it's cold here. It's cold in Canada in general in the winter. Mm-hmm. But I know firsthand that we have an amazing group of guys. Great training staff. Great coaches, great organization, a great owner that cares so much about the game, and we have fans that are so passionate, that love their Winnipeg Jets, that eat, sleep, and breathe Winnipeg Jets hockey, and that passion is embedded into us through being in the community. And this is my 11th season here, and I've loved every single day. And there's been tough days for sure, and there's been days where you just don't know what to think. But that's just being a human being. That's in any job. That's in anything that you do in any place in the world. And but I know the group of guys that we have in this room. I know the character that we have in this room. I know how much the organization cares about us as players and us as people. And like I said before, I couldn't be more honored to be a Winnipeg Jet, and very excited for the coming future.
And there has to be a pretty significant shift in mindset from going into a season where a bit of uncertainty about what was going to happen beyond, to all of a sudden deal done, signed. You're going to be here. I don't know if it's a weight that lifts. I don't know if it's clarity, but describe the difference between before you have that deal done and after you have that deal done, and just the way you feel about being where you are.
Yeah, obviously I feel very excited. I feel very honored. It's a pretty amazing feeling. And, but yeah, it's a lot of everything. You go through the summer where you just don't know what's going to happen, and there is a ton of uncertainty, and I'm a guy that kind of just does my own thing, and my agent kind of deals with all the other stuff. So there's days where you have tough days, there's days you have good days, and then through the whole process, I think once it actually signed, I think that next night I slept like 10 hours. Like you don't understand the weight that it actually is on you until it's actually done. The amount of stress, the amount of anxiety that you're every little thought goes through your brain. And you don't even know where they come from. And, it's one of those things that excites me. And, obviously it is a weight taken off your shoulders, but at the same time, it's extra motivation. You want to be worth your deal. You want to be a guy that, is an impact player each and every night. And I think that's the way that I look at that. Is I'm always striving for more. And whether you have a 1-year contract or an 8-year contract, you want to be the best every single night and strive for that. And know it's always a work in progress. And that's the extra motivation. And it's the constant battle of being a human is figuring that all out. And that's all about growth. And I'm excited to do it all.
Last question for me. The LA Kings visit tomorrow night. I don't know if you saw that on your schedule there, but obviously Pierre-Luc Dubois, part of that team now. He was, it's been very public. He asked for a trade and got traded. What's that like when that happens on your team? And listen, everyone's taking care of their brand, their career, right? It's a business. But what was that like for you to hear that and to see it play out?
I think that's the thing is it is a business, and every guy has their own things going on, and I know playing with Doobie, a friend of Doobie, a guy that battled a lot of games with him, and obviously I'm at the end of the day I'm really happy for him. He's a fantastic player in this league. He's a guy that's a horse out there, and we saw that first and foremost that how great of a player he was and how much of an impact he was on the ice for us every game. And I'm excited to play against him. I haven't played against him in a long time, back in his Columbus days, obviously. But I think you always play your friends a little harder. So obviously it's going to be an exciting time. We have 3 guys that played in LA last year, so I'm sure they're excited for it too. And
all right,
obviously just excited to play against him, to see him, to talk to him, and obviously at the end of the day we want to get the win and we want to beat them. And but obviously it'll be an exciting game for a lot of guys, including Doobie, and I'm sure it'll be a good one.
All right. 2 things we want to get done before we let you go, Mark, and we really appreciate your time. Want to do some quick hitters, and then we're going to get a got your back story from you. So I'm going to fire some questions at you. This is really intense, serious stuff. So get ready. Quick hitters here, getting to know Mark Scheifele of the Winnipeg Jets. Cards with the fellas at the back of the plane, or iPad and relax a little bit after a game?
I'm an iPad and relax guy. I love Marvel movies, so it's usually some sort of Marvel thing, some sort of show, and relax.
The skill that is the biggest pain in the ass for you to work on, like something you're not good at that you need to be better at, but it sucks to work on it.
Face-offs, for sure. It's one of those things where like you have to take them against someone, and there's always a chance of a blade riding up and hitting you in the hand, or it's just a lot of impact on your wrists and your elbows and everything. And I'd say it's one of those things that you have to work on and have to put the man hours in, but it's a tough one. You know what you're at this season, don't you? I do. There was a lot of extra time focused on faceoffs this summer. So 62.8%. You're crushing it in the faceoff circle. Personal best. You're on the golf course. You're working on a personal best. You got 5 holes left, and you're on a reachable par 5. Are you going for the green in 2, or are you laying up? Personal best round on the line. How aggressive are you? I would say I'm going for it. Like depending if it's within reach. Like if it's in a, it's reachable. Obviously, if there's water, or I'm in a tough spot, or I'm in the rough, or it's if it's reachable, I'm going for it. You want to work on your game, and you want to work on that stuff, and to do that under pressure is pretty impressive. So I'm going for it. I like it. You got to test yourself. Top 3 favorite Marvel characters. Captain America, Iron Man, and then third one's. I'm so basic. I feel like I got to go with Thor.
Where does this come from? Where does this love come from? We're going to test your honesty here. Do you have any figurines? Got to be honest here.
No figurines. No figurines. I did go as Captain America for Halloween last year.
Nice.
But I don't know what happened. I just really I love Disney in general, and I think it's just I got into it, and I just love the storylines. I love the messages that are always in them, and it's it's just one of those things you can't really explain, but just obviously a big fan.
Big couple years for Marvel. Lots of content coming out to keep you busy on those planes. Last question, most important one. Thanksgiving dinner, cranberry sauce belongs on the table, or get rid of it? It has no place.
Get rid of it. It has no place.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Not a
with the turkey
sauce,
and the stuffing and the potatoes, and no go.
No.
Pierre,
no
you?
Dude, hockey players don't eat any of that stuff anymore. Get real. I mean, come on.
I've been in this debate with Jason Strudwick for a while. He thinks it needs to go. I'm trying to gather an army against him, but I think more people are in line with you, Mark, than with Struds. Good stuff. That was rapid fire, getting to know Mark Scheifele. Before we let you go, wanted to know if you had a story for us. The podcast is called Got Your Back. We love those stories that people have about a time in their life where they were jammed up a little bit and someone came through for them. So what comes to mind is if we put that to Mark Scheifele?
You know what? I think I'm going to go with, my billet parents in Winnipeg, the Dragos. When I first came to Winnipeg, I didn't have my license. They had to pick me up. They had to drive me, pick me up from the rink. So I'm in the NHL playing NHL games, and I'm getting a ride from my billet dad. And when it was a funny one, it was like I got dropped off at the rink, and then I ended up getting sent down my 18-year-old year, and obviously I didn't drive, so I'm like, I have to call and be like, "Hey, Craig, can you come pick me up? I just got sent down. I'm going back to junior, but I don't have a ride." So obviously he came and picked me up. It was like a 25-minute drive back to the rink to pick me up, and I know they always have my back. They're pretty much family now, so I'm going to go with the Derlago family for always having my back.
That's amazing. Did they put cranberry sauce on the table at Thanksgiving? Do you remember?
I'm sure they do. They always put up a good feast.
Good. That's one for me. Hey, Mark, thank you so much for taking some time for us. Best of luck this season, and congrats on the new deal.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Well, Pierre, a pretty relaxed seeming Mark Scheifele, I do have to say. It's almost like some weight has been lifted off his shoulders and he can settle in here. But what stood out to you from that interview?
I think you're bang on with that question, too, when you asked him that about the burden being lifted, because that's why you see so many players of his stature at this time of year sign extensions right before opening night, right? I mean, and those who haven't become huge stories. Until William Nylander signs in Toronto, it's a story. Elias Lindholm in Calgary, until he signs, it's a story. So I think for these guys, when they're being truly honest, like Scheifele just did, it weighs on them no matter what they say. The other thing I would say is that if you lump him and Hellebuck in the same thing here, it's fascinating to me that legitimately there was a chance from talking to other front offices when we were at the draft in June that those two guys could have been moved this summer, especially Hellebuck. Because at the time, Hellebuck's intentions seemed to be, I'm not signing, and therefore Calgary's in a spot where we better get something for him. And then it changes over the course of the summer. And one of the things I will always point back to is Steven Stamkos, who legitimately went to the UFA speaking period back in the day in 2016, met with the Leafs and the Sabres and the Habs, among other teams, the San Jose Sharks, and then was supposed to meet with Detroit the next day, but stopped the proceedings at the offices in Newport Sports and said, "What am I doing? I'm going back to Tampa, man." And he took less money and re-signed in Tampa. And I guess my point is, whatever may be true in the moment, and at the draft, we've got so much stuff that we're reporting on, right? Can change. And in this particular case, I don't think Scheifele ever wanted out, but there was a chance he might get moved if the Jets didn't think they could sign him to an extension that made sense, right? So he was kind of lumped in with Hellebuck one way or the other. And for sure, he thought about maybe he was getting dealt this summer. And then it doesn't happen. He signs. Hellebuck signs. The Jets are still all in. They're not retooling. It's just a fascinating thing that how quickly things can change when it looks like a player is on the way out. That's what I retain from it.
No question. Be fun to watch Scheifele, Hellebuck, and the Jets. See if they can maintain that window, right? Get themselves into the mix and maybe take a bit of a run at things. They definitely have that the star goaltender, the star centerman, and a heck of a good set of defensemen, and one in particular that every team needs to contend. We would be remiss, Pierre, before we wrap up the podcast. Zuby, you can bring yourself in here, buddy. Happy birthday, Chris Sabunia from Growlin Media, the brains of the operation, behind the scenes, always taking such great care of us here on the podcast.
Big time.
You know, all he wanted for his birthday was the day off, and I didn't give him that. So Zuby, wrap up putting this podcast to bed, and then you take the rest of the day off. How's that, pal?
Every day is a work day, and I got a beer league hockey game tonight too. So.
Oh, nice. Well,
so there's no days off when you're the goalie. The goalie must play. So no, it's good. I like playing hockey on my birthday, actually.
Maybe your boss at Rev Media might be able to buy you a new ball cap so you're not sporting the Blue Jays after such a brutal playoff. You know?
This is literally a birthday present.
Is that a new birthday present?
I got today from my mom. So it's
okay.
Yeah,
well, that's okay.
Unfortunate for the team, but I do love the cap. That's good.
Great job as always behind the scenes, Zuby. You are cherished as part of the Got Your Back team, and hopefully your team gives you the gift of some sort of effort defensively tonight, so you weren't embarrassed on your birthday.
The gift of defense. And actually, we're playing a team that we know a lot of the guys on the other team, so it'll be fun. It should be fun. It'll be fun.
There you go. Let us know how you do. We'll see you.
How
about the birthday shutouts? Oh, I said it.
Oh,
I said it. I wish that for you tonight, pal.
Yeah, I don't think you jinxed. I think it was long jinxed. The shutout was long jinxed before you ever said it.
Yeah, for sure. It was jinxed by the food you chose to eat on this game day.
Correct,
this birthday game day. Pierre, great job. Big thanks to Mark Scheifele and the Winnipeg Jets for joining us. And a huge thanks to our title sponsor, Kuma Outdoor Gear. More podcasting set to go through the rest of the week with Strudwick and I on our local Edmonton podcast. Ray and Dregs will drop a couple episodes this week as well, and we'll talk to you again next week. Take care, folks. Happy birthday to you.